The More Than One Way to Motherhood Fertility series is dedicated to my mother, Beverly Sims, who is a mother to many and a great mother to my sister and I. And welcome to the Tynee Talks podcast, the podcast that educates and entertains, the podcast where you come to laugh and learn. I am your host, Tynee, and this is part 2 in the series of More Than One Way to Motherhood, a Fertility Journey. On today's show, I have two phenomenal guests, two women who are strong, courageous, and inspiring as they are detailing their story and their journey through egg freezing and fertility. I have Miss Candace Rodgers and Miss Maxine Gray. Welcome to the show. Hi, Maxine and Candace.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing
Good,
today?
thank you.
I'm so glad to have you both on the show. Basically, how we got here is through Instagram. Well, many of you might know. I know Candace because she is my soror. Hey, soror. And I did not know she was on a fertility journey, and she posted on Instagram and TikTok, like going to the hospital in the gown, the whole shebang. And I was
Yes.
like, oh wow, like my friend Maxine is going through the same journey, and I tagged her on the post, because sometimes you just need to know in community, like
Absolutely.
you mentioned on a previous episode, like there's other people your age going through this journey. And so I really wanted to bring you both together.
Mhm.
To like, this is somebody not in another state, but someone right here in the DFW on the same journey as you. So I tagged Max.
Yes.
And she commented like, "Oh wow!" And she was curious, and so here we are together, sharing both of you both journeyed in more than one way to motherhood, your fertility journey, your egg freezing. So the first question I want to ask both of you is, how has this process impacted your emotional well-being?
Want me to go first?
You can go first. Yes.
So I actually froze my eggs twice. I had my egg retrieval surgery in September and then another one in October. So I did it back to back. I would say the process. So there's a process where you take birth control and then you have your shots and then you have your surgery. I would say it was a roller coaster. I had moments. I think actually I called you or we were on the phone when I was having a little breakdown. Um, because part of it is I was very grateful for the opportunity, financially and in every way to be able to do it. But at the same time, I had moments where it reminded me that like my marriage didn't work out, right? Like I thought I would be a mom already. Like I never thought I would be in this situation. And it wasn't like a woe is me. It was more of like, oh, every day, every time I take an injection, every time I take the medication, it's reminding me that somewhere I veered off the path, right? The path that I thought I would be on to motherhood. So I had those moments where it was kind of like, why do I have to do this, right? But I feel like I had a good support system. My friends and family kind of walked me off the ledge, like, it's a moment, take the moment, but like, let's move forward. Let's focus on the blessing of it. And the future is still yet to come. So I would say it was an emotional journey for sure.
Thank
Roller
you for
coaster, a
being
little bit of
honest
a roller
about
coaster.
that.
Hmm.
Because many people, you talked about your marriage not working out, and people don't speak to that because it's not, I know how it may look to you, it may feel a certain way, but you are strong and powerful for being able to walk away unscathed. Not necessarily, you weren't unscathed emotionally because we know.
Hmm.
Okay?
Yes, we do.
Okay. But you
Yeah.
still came on top. You still are glowing. You still beautiful. You
Thank you.
still kept marching forward, just like the resilient, beautiful black woman that you are.
Thank you.
So thank you for saying that even in spite of, you didn't let that say, you know what, I don't got this marriage no more, I'm going to stop. So
Mhm.
you're going to inspire somebody for them to know that they can keep going as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. And what about you? How it impacted you emotionally?
Emotionally, actually, kind of similar in nature. I haven't been married before, but I did have an idea that if I had to go through this, it would be with a partner. It wouldn't be something, I was doing alone. But I think once I got past that and out of my head, that's when I was like, okay, I'm about to be a mom. This is tangible. And I kind of started to get excited about it and
Mm-hmm.
happy. And I also have such a loving and supportive system. and community around me. So yeah, it had its ups and downs, but in the end, I know I'm gonna be a mom one day, and so yeah.
So basically, having the faith of the end goal keeps you mentally able to keep pushing forward. Like, this is
Absolutely.
coming to be what the words say, write the vision, make it plain, and at its appointed time it shall come to pass. So even though it
Yes.
didn't come to pass at the moments or points in pinpoints in your life where you thought it should, you know that during this journey it's going to come right when it's supposed to. When you're at your especially being older, like me being an older mom, like I compare and contrast how I was with my son now that I'm in my 40s. And you're just much calmer. I think when you're in your 20s and you're thinking you're supposed to be doing
Doing
that a
this,
certain
doing
way,
that, right.
you're on such a hamster wheel of craziness that when you look back, you be like, ain't no way I was supposed to be doing it at that time. Like, this is the right time and God's will. In God's will. So I love that. So I know you've all seen the news circling around of that black woman at Dallas Regional Medical Center in labor, screaming for dear life, climbing on like I've been in labor, so trust me, everything she was doing was warranted. I probably would. I know I was worse than what she had going on, but I had a good hospital that I went to. Like when I entered through those doors, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs, they immediately took me to L&D, right, which should have happened to her. So I say that to say, in this journey, these fertility treatments, how has your experience been with your fertility specialists and healthcare providers?
I actually had a really good experience. So in 2024, that's when I initially had an appointment with the doctor I decided to go with. But I wasn't ready to pull the trigger. I was a little bit nervous. The shot part really scared me. I think that's what really delayed it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, maybe I can go somewhere and find it a little bit cheaper because the doctor I did talk to had a discounted plan. So I did interview with another doctor, and it was not warm. And it was a Zoom call, and she was just like, okay, we're doing this, okay, this, that, this. I was like, ooh.
Not
So,
personable.
not personable. So I went back to the original doctor. I took my mom, and she was like, I love him. Like, he's so pleasant. He has like this calm voice. In fact, sometimes you can't even hear him. He's just so mild mannered. And I went and I read all his reviews, and everyone was like, he has the perfect bedside manner. So him and the nurses, everyone was very communicative. I was on my chart like, if I had any questions,
He's answering immediately.
Immediately. So I felt very safe there. Whenever I voiced concerns, they were receptive. So I think I selected a good, hospital to go with for this process for sure.
I'm glad. What about you, Max?
I actually started this journey in 2021. I was working at an organization that had these benefits, and so I actually started getting my AMH measured back then. So actually, I have
What is AMH?
That is you knew the acronym.
Anti-Müllerian hormone.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So it's essentially, like she was saying, it doesn't necessarily measure egg reserve per se, but it gives you a good indicator of where yours is. And so year over year, my doctor, shout out to Dr. Nur Hassan at CCRM Fertility, she's my doctor, she would measure it. So she would do whatever. I've done genetic testing, I've done all kinds of testing. So every year she would say, what do you want to do? She never pressured me. But then this year, I was just like, I'm ready. It's go time. Like, I've been doing this for year over year. I had a couple other procedures done as well, to like make sure that like my tubes were open and some other things that I had done. Also had my fibroids removed in January. So I've had a lot of things leading up to it. So my OB, Dr. Crable, and then my fertility doctor, Dr. Nur Hassan, they've been along the whole journey. I had a great experience. Dr. Nur Hassan actually had her own journey to fertility. She struggled. She's a woman of color, but she struggled as well. And she actually wrote a book about it. So she's like really passionate about it, and about giving women the best shot at being a mother if that's what they desire. I would say so because of my BMI is a little higher, she wanted me to take the majority of my shots in the muscle. So most people do it in the stomach, which is called subcutaneously, but the majority of mine were in the muscle. And actually, Tynee was my administer in the morning between 6 and 9, and in the evening for those 10 days. So That was a little different, and that needle was a little bigger, and Tynee did a great job. She's a
I want this is for Tonika. Tonika's my best friend. I'm a licensed phlebotomist. Literally. And Max let me use my phlebotomy skills to give her shots.
For two rounds.
For 2 rounds. And I had to put this on record because Tonika says I just be doing anything. And not using, I just be doing stuff like going to get things. Okay, so thanks.
Okay, so I do want to speak to like the physical part of it, right? Mm-hmm. So there are moments you had to be like, okay, Max, like you got this, girl, I got you. Mm-hmm. It was always like a little jarring. But I think that like there's a lot of pressure too because it's not a cheap procedure, and so you want to, they're like take this one from 6 to 9, this one from 6 to 9 p.m. Mm-hmm. You got to take these 3 pills, and then when you get to the point of the 36-hour trigger shot. If you don't take it, we had the first time around, you don't take it at that time, they're like, so there's like a lot of pressure to do things. And so I think just like me wanting, and then like you can only work out for you can only walk a mile a day. So like there are a lot of things you have to change, a lot of other things that you can't do either. But I think like physically, you're just trying to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. So the reason I mention that is because we have an app, and so I could go back and forth with my nurse. She would, in the office, she would say, hey, do you want me to walk you through the test again or the shots again? And actually like walk me through like, this is how you pull it. This is how you, so I would say that the team was very good. And they have so many women and families that are coming in there. And they knew me by name, made me feel great. Even though I was by myself, they made me feel great. So I had a good experience.
Thank you for sharing that. So you mentioned that you have to like reduce your working out, I guess, for the treatments to kind of mesh well in the body. And you mentioned on a previous episode that you work out 5 times a week. So how does that impact you?
Girl.
Not being able to...
When I tell you it was a struggle,
it
was a struggle because I was like, I can't do like I do kind of CrossFit-esque workouts.
Oh, no.
So I was like, okay, I can't do that, but I can do yoga. And they're like, no, you can walk. I was like,
walk
a mile.
Me?
Right? What you mean?
Yeah.
So that was really hard because I implement my workout into my work day.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was like
empty.
What do I do? Like, right. And I'm just so used to going, being so active, being involved. But I had to sit. I had, even afterwards, I was just going to take that one day, the surgery day off. And they're like, no, babes, you need to take tomorrow off as well.
Yeah.
You're still on anesthesia. You can sit on the couch and watch Netflix. And I was like,
me? I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. When y'all have these real babies, you gotta sit down. When it comes to pass, you gotta sit down.
Okay.
Your body really is gonna need that recovery time. And y'all are 2 baddie bosses, boss baddies. That y'all kind of like always in the community, always working on that next goal. I need to let you guys know when these babies come, that's the goal.
Okay.
That's the goal you were going for in this process.
Right.
And they are the actual goal.
Right.
So you're going to have to rest your body. You're going to have to heal that mind, that body, and that spirit.
Right.
And I'm a person that like to go too, because I was sitting in the house like,
you get ready to
go. And also being older, because you're going to be older when you do have this baby.
Right.
Your body is not the same, so it has to rest. With my son, I always tell people I had to go back to work when he was 22 days old. And I had to do that because I wasn't in the financial place that I am now, praise God, hallelujah, in the name of Jesus, that I am now, where I could have 12 weeks maternity leave, a supportive partner, emotion, the whole shebang.
Right.
I have that now, and I think that's the beauty of advanced maternal age.
Absolutely.
So be okay with sitting still. It is okay. Because we've been taught an idle mind is a devil's workshop, right? That's like in your head, which is, again, steeped in racism, but we don't even get into that. So it's okay, Black girl, Black woman, Black queen, rest, relax, do what you can. You don't got to do it all. Right. Okay? So that's my little,
yes, ma'am.
my little advice.
Thank you. I take it.
Right. I receive all of that.
So now that you've all been in your fertility journey, what advice would you give to clinics to better support women through this process?
Yes, that's a great question. While I had a great experience, I do belong to several groups on Facebook for like women. TTC community is trying to conceive, so women over 40, or there are a couple groups I belong to, Black women. And there were many women in there. For example, there's one woman who was like, my partner and I have been having sex, blah, 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 blah. And people were like, you're freezing your eggs right now, like you're taking stems. And she's like, yeah, it's just like, my doctor never told me to stop having sex. Or that there are women who are like doing full workouts. And so it's almost like, did that doctor even explain to you the science, right? Because essentially you're stimulating, you have one egg that's dropping, right? When you have your cycle, you're stimulating several eggs. So like you're getting full and you can't do anything that's going to possibly, I mean, they can rupture. People have had all kinds of things happen.
The eggs can rupture.
Yes, they can rupture. People have had to have surgery because like it's a lot going on in there. So that's the whole purpose of kind of like chilling out and not doing too much physical, and then definitely not having sex. So I think they need to educate people as if they were a fifth grader, and also like, hey, these women are investing in this procedure, treat it like any other procedure. So I was really heartbroken to see some of those stories. Like these women had no clue.
When you're saying that, because both of you mentioned the financial responsibility it takes to undergo this treatment anyway. So to know that these people were doing these things because they didn't know, do they have to start all over again? Do they have to repay? Is the doctor gonna be responsible for the starting over? Because I can say, hey, you never told me that. Or are they gonna say, well, it was in the paperwork, you should have read it?
Exactly. And that's what they make you sign off. They do make you sign off. So it's in there, but you should have that kind of rapport and relationship with your doctor where they talk to you about it. And they should want to be successful, right? I know you mentioned you read reviews. You should want your patients to be able to speak highly of you, whether it's for business or not. Like as a doctor, you should want people to speak highly of your work. So I think it's like relationship and outcomes. Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think I would agree with her. Thank God my doctor was
Transparent.
Was very transparent.
Yes.
Baby, I read that list because I love me a good iced coffee.
Yeah.
But when it said
no caffeine.
no
Yep.
caffeine.
Yep, no caffeine.
Oh.
No caffeine. So the workouts and the no caffeine.
You know I love my coffee too.
Right.
This is Starbucks girly. Down.
So I was like, I had that in my head.
Yeah.
And then, you can't have sex. But I was like, that's fine. But yeah, I just, that's so heartbreaking that doctors are not telling them this. Like, that's a very important thing to note in the process. I think also just, I know that some like nurses and doctors treat this as a job, right? But like, this is really important to the women that you're servicing. So just having like a level of care and presenting things in a nice, manner to people and being understanding, I think that's very important. So maybe they could almost think about it like, this is my sister, or, this is my cousin. This is somebody special to me, and I want them to have an amazing process. So just kind of thinking of that when you're interacting, with patients is important, because they need that support from them as well, not just from their support system, but from the nurses and doctors also.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you think also, not just the clinics, is it important for women going through this process to go to therapy simultaneously?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I was definitely in it.
Same.
I'm talking about
in it.
Yes. Because it is again, like the emotions, right? You're excited, you're grateful, you're blessed. Even as you're going through, every other day going to the doctor to see how you're stimulating, how many follicles do you have, how is everything looking? You're getting excited, but then you're also, again, like I said, I was reminded of, oh, I'm doing this journey. Why do I have to do this journey?
Right.
So it's like those kind of like back and forth emotions. So yeah, it's helpful to stay grounded. I think stay grounded in your why, which is huge. Like you said, like, I'm going to be a mom one day. Like that's your why. That's your focus. So kind of like bringing yourself back. And I know therapy helps a lot with that too.
Yeah, I would say, it definitely helped as well. And grieving, the ideas and the thoughts you had in your mind of where you would be and what you were doing, yes, this process is different, but you're still going to get to that goal.
Right.
You just took a different route, and that's okay.
It's okay.
You know, so just making peace with that
Yeah.
was very important to me. So yeah, my therapist knows all. She might know too much about the process, but
Don't it be feeling like that sometimes when you with your therapist? Like,
They
does
know
she
all
think
your
I'm
crazy.
yeah,
But they're not there to judge. No judges.
they're not.
No judges.
They're not.
I would add one more thing. So through this journey, I found that there were a lot of women that I was able to connect with who had different stories. Women who had to use donor eggs, who waited too long, and then their actual they couldn't use their eggs, right? Or for whatever reason, it's not just because of that, but women who their partners, you know, they had to get sperm from a sperm bank and they're married, right? So there are so many different, but we don't talk about it. So you look at a couple and they're pregnant, you think, oh, they just naturally had a baby, and you don't know, they could have.
They could have.
But there are a lot of different situations, and so even being in these groups with these women and just hearing this, there are 20 young ladies in their late 20s who are struggling with fertility in a group that I belong to. Several married, trying to conceive and having to already start the IVF process, right? So you don't know how these babies come to be. They truly are miracles. And so, but the more we can kind of like open up, people have less guilt and shame, and we can start to share our stories. You don't have to share your story with everybody.
Yeah.
But there are people who need our stories.
They do.
You know?
I always say use discernment on how and who and where you share this information, because everyone doesn't mean it for good. But I always ask God to give me the discernment. Use my story or whatever it is to help someone. Let it be helpful to them in their journey to move forward, no matter what it is.
Yeah,
Even if I'm talking to them about grief, about motherhood, about being a single mom, about having a baby daddy, you know, all those, about a wife, that some kind of way is helpful to them along their story. So that's very important. You mentioned 20-year-olds and infertility treatments. You also shared, you know, off camera about certain communities gifting their children IVF treatments. Can you speak to that? And do you think more people should do that, or do you think that that's strange?
Yeah, so again, throughout this process, I've attended webinars and I've just kind of immersed myself in the topics. And I went to a webinar with a reproductive specialist who she actually had a table of like the estimated amount of eggs we're born with, and she had it like 0 to 18, and then like 18 to 35, and she was kind of sharing like, I mean, these numbers drop drastically, and that's why 35 is that age. And then I've just seen a lot online, and seen videos and seen people speaking to like how, you know, I say wealthier communities, just as like a phrase, but people are kind of like plugged into fertility and understanding sometimes it's hereditary. So there are women who are graduating from college who are getting the gift of, hey, freeze a couple, you know, do a couple cycles of egg freezing, right? And that may be because in their family, you know, but they understand. For those who say like, I want to have children and I know I want to have children, I want my daughters to have children, and so they're like, we have the funds. I want you to go freeze some eggs. So it is, again, these are things we don't talk about.
Stuff that I couldn't even imagine 20 years ago this conversation. Maybe somewhere, but not in my orbit.
No.
It just wasn't happening, because you see, like Candace, you mentioned in a previous episode about like women are often judged about when. So I knew of teen pregnancies. I knew of unexpected pregnancies. I didn't know of, you know, some families, you know, trying or getting married and trying, but this whole concept of the freezing eggs, a lot of times, also in the Black community, it's considered demonic from a Christian standpoint. And like, I just saw a reel the other day, and it was like, you know, but I think this way. It was like demonic. And it was like, no, but I kind of think, it was like, no, you're thinking demonic. But you know, like like, growing up in a traditional Christian household, and things have to be one way, when you are presenting an alternative way, they're like, it's unheard of. It's like, are you sure God wants you to do that? Are you sure that that's godly? You know, and so we're bombarded with that pressure of being Black in the community and our Christianity, because we don't play about Jesus Devontae Christ.
Not Devontae.
Sometimes I'll be like, I don't know who they worshiping, but I know who we worshiping. We be like, I don't know. So, just kind of reconciling that. So that does help with having the therapy, reconciling your faith in these new ways, and science, understanding faith and science.
Yep. They work
can
together.
coexist.
Right.
They do. It's kind of like the whole therapy and even like drug medication.
Yeah,
right?
like my
So,
pastor used to say.
Yeah.
Pray and take that blood pressure medicine.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because faith
Yeah.
without works is
It's
dead.
dead. Or you're gonna be dead.
You're gonna be dead. Right.
So
What?
come on, babies.
Yes.
Let's use our brains.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's demonic. So we know the end goal obviously is to become a mother. So once we get to motherhood, what kind of mother do you think you'll be, and what new traditions do you want to start with your little nugget and bundle of joy?
Well, I personally had an amazing childhood, and I want my child to have the most magical, spectacular childhood ever. So I'm going to be that mom that's doing too much.
Yes.
I'm going to be that mom. We're going to dress alike sometimes.
Got to.
We're going to have over-the-top parties.
Yes.
I want to be at every event. I don't care if you in the play and you got one line and you saying, hey, I'm going to be right there, front and center.
Clicking it up.
Flowers.
Right. I want to be my child's biggest cheerleader.
That's right.
And biggest supporter. I want my child to tell me everything, because like my dad will always say, Candace, I want you to tell me everything, even if you don't think I like it. And I want to have that kind of open connection and relationship with my child where they feel comfortable telling me things, good things, bad things that I don't want to hear.
Yeah.
I just want us to have the best relationship. I want us to be besties.
I love that. You want to open door policy.
I do.
Oh, I love it. Maximilian.
So I've been an aunt since I was 4.
Oh, no. That's a black family.
My oldest niece is obviously 4 years younger than me. And then I've grown up with kids. My youngest niece is 2. So I have great nephews. It's just wild how many kids we have in the family. I'm the baby of 5. So I've always been around kids, always been around babies. I love babies. And so the kind of mom that I want to be, I want to create an environment of freedom for my child, of self-expression, of identity. So understanding their roots as much as I can. And then exposing them. So I want my baby to travel. I always say, like, I want to be the traveling mama. I want to take my kids specifically to Africa, and I want them to see beautiful places and just, like, experience themselves in different environments, because I think that's where you really get to know yourself, when you put yourself in those different environments. I want them to have fun. I don't want them to worry about anything. I want them to understand how to work hard, but I don't want them to worry or stress about some things that I may have when I was growing up. Great childhood, great family, but I do know that there are things that I can do now to prepare, to
Some
make it a little easier.
Learned
Absolutely.
from then that you like, I don't want you to.
Absolutely. But the love I grew up with,
carry that on.
So much love. My mom is extremely smart, just well-rounded. Just grew up with all the love and all the support, and you're smart. You're going places. We grew up with all that. We didn't have a lot of resources per se financially, but the love and the instilling of how intelligent we were and that we could do anything we put our mind to was what really has driven me. So
I think a lot of times, especially in today's society, they're always talking about some generational wealth, yeah, get the generational wealth. But the thing that my mom gave me, the greatest gift, and I hope that you pass this on to your future children, is she gave us generational love.
Absolutely. That's so important.
And good character.
Yes.
My mom used to always say, treat people the way you want to be treated. And she always used to say, you love people. Love. That's the ultimate commandment. When Jesus came, he said, my ultimate commandment is to love.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's not talked about enough when we're wanting to give things off to our children. So that would be my advice to you as moms. Give that love. I already know y'all full of it, and you're just going to put it on that baby, and that love will allow them to thrive.
Absolutely.
No matter what. When they can feel that, they always say people won't remember what you said to them, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And your children need to feel that. They need to feel like my mama like me. They need to feel like my mama thinks that I am just the best thing since sliced bread. And that's what, me growing up with my mom, that I didn't realize people used to be like, you're spoiled. And I used to didn't understand why they would say that. Because I was like, I don't think that I am. But what they were witnessing was the love of a parent on me. And that's what I'm giving to my children. Even my little 10-month-old, they'd be like, she's so happy.
She is so happy.
She's expressing the love that is poured into her that everybody gets to see.
Absolutely.
So give that to your babies. I love that.
For sure.
So what is it that you wish you had known before starting this fertility process?
I would say mine is more of a reminder to be true to yourself and drown out the noise. One thing that I was not comfortable with was fertilizing my eggs. So I didn't want to pick a sperm donor from like a sperm bank. And I told my doctor that in the beginning. And so even though I started to feel a little bit of pressure because, at a certain age, they're like, you really should create embryos instead of just freezing your eggs. And the first time around, I was adamant. And then the second time I was like, doctor, and she was like, Maxine, you were not comfortable. Are you comfortable now? And I was like, no, I'm in the same space I was the first time. And she was like, I don't want you to do anything that you're not comfortable doing. And so I just really appreciated the fact that like she brought me back to my voice, even though I was being influenced by a lot of different noise. Because I was looking at content, obviously, in this space while I was going through the journey for the 2 egg freezing cycles. But I would say, just like make sure you're being true to yourself and like kind of drown out the noise, even though it's good information. Just don't do anything you're not comfortable with, if that makes sense.
Completely. What about you, Miss Candace?
So mine is more on the financial side
because also important.
Right. Unfortunately, my insurance said that I needed to have cancer in order for them to cover the process. Right.
You want me to die?
Right. And so, yes, my village did help out with the cost, but there was a lot of medication that I had to purchase. There were a lot of labs that were not covered by my insurance. So I would say to have that strong financial reserve on deck because I had to move some stuff around to make it happen. So
save it to the check-in and check into the
yeah, we were moving and grooving. So I was an accountant. Like, hold on.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely have your finances together if your process is not being covered, or if it is being covered, know how much you are responsible for.
Okay.
So having those figures, that's really nice to know up front. Like, yes, there was this set price, but maybe that medication in the lab.
So that's something that I guess the clinics could also be, and the healthcare providers could be more upfront with, like,
yes,
an itemized cost of like, this is a ballpark of the medication,
right,
the additional things besides the base price.
Exactly.
And this is also though where like your body is different. So you're going to the clinic every other day and they're checking you. So there are times when you're moving faster. Like the first time I moved faster, so I started another medication earlier. Second time I didn't do that. So also it's kind of like it's hard, right? Because depending on how your body responds to the medication, things could change. You could add medication, take medication away.
Right.
Like it's still science and your body responding to, science and medication. It's tough.
Body is not
exactly.
Like Maxine's body.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you. So ladies, in this process, is there a special word, a scripture that kept you going, or is there something that you heard along the way that you would want to share with someone in the future that may experience this process?
Yes. So I will say there's a song I used to listen to called Happy by Forrest Frank. And I think the older I get, the more I realize like life is such a privilege and a blessing, right? And not to get super deep, but the lyrics go, I'm so happy I'm alive today. I'm so glad I can see the light of day. It doesn't matter if it's rain or shine today because God is on my side. So for me, it's a very upbeat song, but also just like waking up and being grateful that I can even do this, whatever this is, whether it's walking or driving or, freezing my eggs. Like, I think it just really grounded me in, like, I need to be grateful for life. Like, because this is all everything that we do is a blessing, that we're here to do it, right? So I don't know, I just found myself like gravitating towards that, like just gratitude for life, and the ability to do it.
Love that. Miss Candace?
I'm gonna say too. So I saw this quote. It was like a long time ago, and it was like, it was, when did worrying change the outcome or affect the outcome? It was something along those lines,
it
right?
Never did.
Yes.
It never did, right? Because it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and you worried and you stressing. Why?
Yeah.
You're just stressing yourself out for no reason. Exactly.
That's right.
If things are meant to be, it's meant to be. You just have to go through the process and trust the process, which leads me to my next quote from Finding Nemo, and just keep swimming. Yes, you have to keep going.
Good. Yeah.
You might be down, you might feel, so many different emotions, but just keep going, just keep swimming, So I'd encourage them to just stay focused on the prize. The end goal is the child.
That's right.
Just keep swimming. You're going to get there one way or another.
That was so good. To close that out in reference to the swimming and the worrying, it was like when Jesus was on the boat. And Jesus was on the boat, and it was a storm out there, and the disciples was out here losing their marbles, and Jesus was just back there asleep. Like, they were like, Father, do you not even care about what we got going on?
Right.
And Jesus came out there on that boat and looked over the shore and was like, peace, be still.
Yes.
So peace, be still.
Yes.
Peace, be still. All will be well. It will be what it's going to be.
It will be.
Yes.
Right. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Tynee Talks podcast, a more than one way to motherhood, a fertility journey. On this show, we were joined by Miss Candace Rodgers, a realtor and influencer, and we were also joined by Maxine Gray, who is also an influencer for Maxine Loves Africa. They shared their inspiring story, their journey. They shared things about their medical treatments and what to do and what not to do and how to move forward with this. They even shared their faith and even leaning on their own personal therapist to get them through this journey, and their village. We are thankful to them for sharing their stories, and we're hoping that it inspires you or someone you know. So share this with a friend, a coworker, a cousin. Share this with someone to help them along their journey. Again, thanks for tuning in to the Tynee Talks podcast, the podcast that educates and entertains, the podcast where you come to laugh and learn. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Tynee Talks.
It's Tynee Talks right here. We gon' talk about it right here. We gon' talk about everything you like. I'ma make it real, real clear. It's Tynee Talks right here. We gon' talk about it right here. I'ma talk about everything you like. I'ma make it real, real clear. Cause it's Tynee Talks. And I'ma talk about it. Yeah, cause it's Tynee Talks. And I'ma talk about it.